Hey guys, this is the first video of 2026, and I'm at a point where, there's so much going on in the world right now, and I'm hearing so many different opinions. I'm hearing far left opinions, I'm hearing far right opinions, I'm hearing more modern opinions, and throughout my life, I've gone from being a far right conservative to being a moderate conservative to being a more of a centrist who leans right, more of a center right Christian. And I'm just at a point right now where it's like this world, politics, and the way people argue over stuff is just so confusing and so overwhelming to me. And it's like, my dad he's a conservative, he's on the right. He has some pretty far right opinions when it comes to the economy, when it comes to justice issues, when it comes to that type of stuff. Um, I of course agree with him when it comes to the conservative traditional stances on social values, but I don't always agree with him when it comes to the economy and when it comes to the justice issues. I would say right now I agree with him more when it comes to the economy than I do when it comes to justice issues, but what am I supposed to do? Cancel him? Cancel him because he doesn't agree with the same things as me, or because he sins, because we're all human and we all sin and he's not perfect? What am I supposed to do? Cancel him? Not talk to him? I mean, he's literally my father. And that's the type of bull crap that's going on in America. That really gets to me, is this cancel culture and this extreme woke stuff. Because, like, woke in theory sounds good. Like, I'm a Christian that I'm kind of on the side of, like, Lecrae, essentially. Like, I believe in systemic racism. I believe in systemic sexism. Like, I believe it didn't end. I believe systemic racism and stuff didn't end in, like, the 1960s. But at the same time, it's like, what do you want me to do? Cancel someone? Just cut off someone because they don't have the same opinions as me? Like, yes, there are some people you have to cut off because it's not good for your mental health, because it's not good for your energy. But my dad is the type of person where it's like, he has a good heart. You can't change someone overnight, and sometimes you can't change someone. And it doesn't make them a bad person. He's not, like, I don't know how to say this. He, like, I kind of lost my train of thought, but I'm so overwhelmed and confused by politics and what's going on in the world right now, and honestly, this is how I see it. Just because someone has a different opinion than you, like, unless they're being intolerable, unless they're putting you down, unless they're being abusive or toxic, unless they're, being extreme, if they genuinely have a different opinion than you, and it might even be harmful views without harmful intent, then then I think you should try and still reach out to them. I think you should try and still maybe even be friends with them. I know that that's not always doable, but for me, with certain people in my life, it is. And there's one person I know who has even more extreme views that even my dad would disagree with. But you know what? He's lost too. He's still just trying to find meaning in this overwhelming world, and I don't think he actually fully agrees with half the stuff he says, or half the stuff. I know he has a good heart, and I know he wants to follow Christ, and I know he knows the stuff he's doing is wrong. He knows the stuff he's doing is wrong. But a lot of us know the stuff we're doing is wrong, and we still do it, and we still struggle with it. It's a crazy world we live in. All I know is this, do I vote Republican? Do I vote Democrat? Do I vote not at all? You know what? I'll vote for someone that either stands for traditional biblical values or they tolerate traditional biblical values. And I'll vote for someone if I think they're going to do a good job with the economy and a good job helping the oppressed. That's that. And there's only so much you can do as a person. There's only so much change you can bring to a nation, to the world. There's only so much your vote is going to do. There's only, even the people around you, like I said, my dad and that person I know, like, there's only so much you can change about what they believe, but as long as their heart is right with God, that's all that matters. And honestly, I think if we threw the cancel culture stuff at the window, if we threw the crazy extreme like woke I'm gonna cancel you stuff out the window and started coming at it from a perspective of more, instead of trying to force them to change their beliefs, we need to start coming at them with love, nuance, and understanding, and saying, why do you believe what you do? And even if you don't change your perspective, I want to know how to help you out as an American citizen. I want to know how to meet your needs to the best of my values and to the best of my ability. And if we started doing that, America would be so less divided. But all I know is this, is I love my dad. I love my friend that I know. We're all just trying to figure it out, man. We're all just trying to figure it out, and they have good intentions. They genuinely do. This world is just so overwhelming, just so confusing, and especially if you're stuck in a bubble of knowledge, it becomes even more scary because you're like, who do I even trust? We just gotta trust Jesus, man. Like, this world is not our home. I'm not a nationalist Christian. I'm not. Like, this is how I see America. God works all things together for good. God has used America to spread the gospel and create a space for religious freedom. And God has used and is using America simply as a pawn in the end times. But outside of that, we're not a divine nation. We're not Israel. And even Israel, you know, like, I believe God is using modern Israel in end times, but they're not perfect either. And the Bible makes it clear that Israel has never been perfect. None of us are perfect. We all sin. And that's what people forget when they argue about politics. Like, we got to come at each other's level. We got to show love. We got to ask, even if I can't change your opinion, how can I help you? You know? How can I understand you better, and how can I help you better? Because most people from both sides, unless we're talking the politicians, unless we're talking the higher-ups in the government, unless we're talking those crazy people on Fox News or whatever that just sit there and berate other people and just constantly push out, on both sides, on the far left and on the far right, unless we're talking about the far left and far right people that constantly push out rage bait stuff just to get people angry and upset. Besides those people, when it comes to the average American citizen on the far left or the far right, they have good intentions, and they want the best for a country, but they just have completely different views on how to do that. And even on the far right, from my experience, there's harmful views without harmful intent. Doesn't make it right, but you can't always change their opinion. And the reason why you can't always change their opinion is because echo chambers, misinformation, blah, 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 blah. But usually, on the from wherever you're coming from on the political spectrum, statistics do not usually... This is a fact. This is a fact from no matter where you're coming from on the political spectrum. Statistics convince people less than lived experience. Okay, because nobody trusts the government. Nobody trusts the government. Nobody trusts what information people are putting out enough to trust statistics over personal experience. So that's why it's so hard to convince someone of something different, especially on the far right. But the reality is this. Like, when it comes to systemic racism issues and all that stuff, my dad, and honestly even like my friend who's younger, if I were to show them statistics and try and show them stuff about systemic issues, like, it would genuinely be hard for them to comprehend it or to understand it or even consider believing it. Not because they hate minorities and they hate black people and stuff, but because they simply are like, I saw this conservative black guy who agrees with me, and there's plenty of black people who agree with me, so that's bullcrap. And it's like, it doesn't make them an inherently bad person, and in God's eyes, again, God sees their heart. It doesn't, biblically at least, they're not committing the sin of racism. Biblically at least, God sees their heart, and they're not in sin in that area. They're just simply ignorant. And it's like, when you sit there trying to cancel them, when you sit there trying to do all this, they're only going to push back more, because it's like, I don't know. All I know is this, is my dad, even though he has some pretty on the right opinions, on the conservative far, you know what I mean, like, he's getting to a point in life, as he gets older, where, like, he's starting to feel like, this world, it's hard to live in, it's hard to see my values go down the trash, it's hard to exist in this world. It's, even my dad, like, when that Epstein stuff happened with the files and stuff, even my dad, he could admit that, like, anything's possible. Like, I was telling him, I was like, how do you know Donald Trump is literally in office and he still released the files that were all blank and all censored? How do you know he didn't do anything? My dad essentially said, I don't know, like, he essentially said, sometimes it's better not to know. Because he's so exhausted. I am too. with everything that's going on. And he's like, my dad just wants, it's hard for him to grasp climate change. It's hard for him to grasp systemic issues. He just wants he wants to be able to put food on the table. He wants the economy to be good, and he wants his traditional values to stay intact. And I agree with him. But that doesn't make him a bad person. It just doesn't. And biblically, the whole cancel culture, I'm going to cancel you and crazy stuff is just not biblical. The Holy Spirit's even told me, like when I've tried to feel very angry at my dad's beliefs, or when I've tried to feel like, I honestly feel less angry and more confused and sad at his beliefs, but when I've tried to feel even like maybe I shouldn't be friends with this person anymore, the Holy Spirit has told me, no, you're a good influence in his life. Stay friends with him. And then even my dad, like, the Holy Spirit has shown me that nobody's perfect, and we all have biases, and we all have this, and we all have that, but, like, God looks at the heart, and no one's perfect. And it's hard because, you want to cause change, but Jesus is coming, and this world is ending. I don't know. Try to cause change as much as possible, but there's only so much the average person can do, and this world is coming to an end. God bless you guys. Amen.